What is the highest point in each Canadian province and territory? G'day guys, how's it going? My name is AussieTash. This particular video was suggested to me by one of my members on Discord. Shout out to Cam. How's it going, mate? I love these videos. I love learning about Canada, the history, the culture, everything. Really excited to get into this one, so let's go.
Canada, the Great White North. This massive nation encompasses a vast portion of the North American continent, containing an incredible variety of landscapes. The country is divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories, each one home to its own slice of Canada's extensive and rugged terrain. So this leads us to the question, what is the highest point of natural elevation in each province or territory, and where can it be found? Let's take a quick trip to all 13 Canadian provincial and territorial high points, in order from lowest to highest elevation.
Straight away, I just want to say before we get into it, it looks like the mountains are touching the sky. See how they're meeting up with the clouds? It just looks so beautiful. And all the snow on the mountains, oh my gosh. I love Canada. It's so beautiful. I'm really looking forward to this video because I know we are going to see some beautiful footage. You guys just keep on showing off in all these videos how beautiful your country is. So let's get into it.
We start our journey on the Atlantic coast, more specifically on the island province of Prince Edward Island. This province of about 160,000 people is a quite low-lying place, but there are some rolling hills across the island. These hills reach their highest elevation in the middle of the island at an unnamed point in the woods. The elevation here is about 140 meters above sea level, and there's not much at the site to indicate its high point status, just a small mailbox for visiting high pointers. In any case, it's a pretty easy one to visit given its low elevation and proximity to paved roads, and makes for a pleasant hike through the countryside.
Okay, I can do that one. Yeah.
Hopping across the Northumberland Strait takes us to the next province in line, Nova Scotia.
Nova
Although it's
Scotia,
another
how you going,
somewhat
Trev?
low-lying province like nearby PEI, Nova Scotia is technically part of the Appalachian Mountains and has many hills and ridges. The highest of these is White Hill, found in northern Cape Breton Island. It reaches 532 meters above sea level and is part of the aptly named Cape Breton Highlands National Park. This high point is pretty isolated, being several kilometers away from the nearest maintained trails. Despite this, it is a beautiful area and you probably won't run into many people if you visit.
No, but it's so beautiful.
Taking
Who's
us onto the
been there?
mainland for the first time is Ontario. This large province, both in terms of area and population, is home to some rugged hills and mountains. The highest point in the province is found north of Sudbury and is called Ishpetina Ridge. Ishpetina is an Ojibwe word, which perhaps unsurprisingly means high hill. The elevation here is about 692 meters above sea level. Once again, this is another quite tricky high point to reach, given its hefty distance from major roads. At the highest point of the ridge is an old fire tower, but visitors are not allowed to climb it. However, the view from the ground is still breathtaking.
Okay, so you want to do like a helicopter tour over this. How big is Ontario? It looks pretty big, doesn't it? When you see the maps, Ontario does look pretty big. Oh my gosh, to me, that looks absolutely incredible. It looks like the show Ozark. Was that filmed in Canada? It probably wasn't, but when I see this, I think of the show Ozark. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend any Canadians if it was filmed in the States. You know, I'm terribly sorry. This is absolutely beautiful. We just don't really have this in Australia at all. I could definitely go to the first one on Prince Edward Island. The other two, I don't know how I'm going to get there. Let's just enjoy the footage that we're all seeing together.
New Brunswick is up next, bringing us back to the Appalachian Mountains. In the northern half of the province, we find Mount Carleton Provincial Park, home to, you guessed it, Mount Carleton, which is the highest point in New Brunswick at 817 meters above sea level.
We're getting higher, aren't we?
This peak is not nearly as isolated as Ishpetina, with major roads passing nearby and a well-marked trail to the summit. In fact, this is the only provincial or territorial high point that features a standard park your car and hike to the top type of deal. As such, it's a popular destination and also features spectacular unobstructed views as the summit is above the tree line.
I can see the couple from Must Do Canada
We're
doing that
venturing
one.
out into
Absolutely.
the Canadian Prairie provinces now, and our first stop is Manitoba.
Manitoba.
Near and along the border
Go
with
the Jets.
Saskatchewan is the Manitoba Escarpment, an area of glacially formed hills stretching for hundreds of miles. The highest of these hills is Baldy Mountain, reaching 832 meters above sea level. This is hands down the easiest high point of all 13 to visit, as there is
Okay.
a road that goes directly to the summit and its lookout tower. The CBC has a broadcasting tower here too. All in all,
okay.
Baldy Mountain is a nice and simple stop for road trippers and high pointers alike.
Okay, I could go there. You can drive to that one.
Let's
That's
move
cool.
west one province to Saskatchewan, another prairie province home to some lovely
Hold on.
hills.
No.
In the Cypress Hill
Don't they say Saskatchewan is flat, but it's got a high point? I thought it was flat, Saskatchewan. Let's find out.
Hills Interprovincial Park, which straddles the border with Alberta, we find Saskatchewan's highest point. Much like PEI's high point, it doesn't have an official name. However, it reaches
Why is
a
it
much higher
unnamed?
elevation of 1,392 meters,
Whoa.
although it's not much of a summit. Located on a pasture about the same number of meters away from the Alberta border, there was a green triangular sign indicating its high point status. Otherwise, not too much to see here other than the local cows.
No, you're not seeing much there, are you?
Before we venture any more west, we've got one last stop on the Atlantic side of Canada
Here we
today.
go.
Along the coast of the Labrador Sea are the Torngat Mountains, which make up the northernmost border between Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador. The highest mountain here is shared by both provinces and has two different names, Mount Cobvic in Newfoundland and Labrador, and Mont d'Iberville in Quebec.
It's gotta
it
have a
reaches an
French
elevation
name,
of
doesn't it?
1,652 meters above sea level, making it the highest Canadian peak east of the Rocky Mountains.
Okay.
This peak is extremely remote and is located in a permit-only national park,
Oh.
making the visit quite expensive and time-consuming.
Okay.
It's an absolutely stunning area, though.
That's beautiful. What does it mean by expensive and time consuming? I'm guessing what you could only get here by a helicopter or a plane ride because it's so isolated. Oh my gosh, just have a look at it. You'd get lost in there, wouldn't you? That is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. 1,652 meters. Wow, that's high, man. I think the highest I've been is to like the top of the Eiffel Tower. Looking down there, that was high. That was really high.
The first Canadian territory on the list is Nunavut, a vast yet sparsely populated territory. Its highest point brings us extremely far north,
Oh.
about 81.5
Wow.
degrees north, actually.
Yeah.
Barbeau Peak, at an elevation of 2,616 meters above sea level, is the highest point of the Canadian Arctic Islands, being found on Ellesmere Island. Given how ridiculously remote this mountain
no
is,
one's
traveling
going
to
there.
the area is very expensive. As such, ascending it is no common task and has only been accomplished by a handful of people.
In
the
the world,
dramatic weather
ever.
conditions also pose a significant challenge to any potential climbers.
Yeah. That's like...
Heading
Mount-
southwest from here, we arrive in the Northwest Territories. Here
Okay.
we find the Mackenzie Mountains, located along the border with Yukon Territory. They're home to some incredible peaks, and the highest one on the Northwest Territories side is Mount Nirvana, reaching
Nevada.
2,773 meters in elevation. Technically, there is no official name for this peak, but it's unofficially been called Mount Nirvana for nearly 60 years.
Why?
Once again, this is a peak that's only been summited by a handful of people, owing to its remote location and dangerous climate. Going even farther
Okay, so there's got to be a story. Why is this called Mount Nirvana? It looks absolutely incredible. They're saying only a handful of people actually take it on and, go all the way to the top. You can understand why. It just looks crazy. Oh my gosh. It looks so beautiful. Helicopter tours. That's the only way I can see you going over, seeing all these beautiful peaks, all these beautiful mountains. But I'm guessing a helicopter tour will cost you lots of loonies and toonies. Okay, up next, somewhere in Alberta.
Farther south, down to the Canadian Rockies, we find the province of Alberta, which
Okay.
shares the mountain range with British Columbia.
Mhm.
Along said border is Alberta's highest point,
I know
Mount
this
Columbia.
mountain, yes.
Though the name is counterintuitive, the summit of the mountain is in Alberta and reaches an elevation of 3,747 meters above sea level.
Oh.
Mount Columbia is the second highest peak in the Canadian Rockies, behind
So
only Mount
beautiful.
Robson in British Columbia. Though certainly a challenging peak to ascend, it's not extremely demanding or that difficult to reach, relative to some of the previous
You just
shorter
go up
peaks on
here,
this
mate.
list. Next up is Alberta's western neighbor, British Columbia. Despite this province's Mount Robson being the highest mountain in the Canadian Rockies, this is not the highest mountain in the whole province. That honor goes to Mount Fairweather, found along the border with Alaska in the St. Elias Mountains. Rising up dramatically from the coast, Mount Fairweather quickly climbs to an elevation of 4,671 meters, making it one
look
of
at
the
that
highest
picture.
coastal mountains in the world. The
I
name is
love
also one
that.
of the biggest misnomers out there, since this mountain gets absolutely pummeled by sub-zero temperatures and dozens of inches of snowfall throughout the year. Captain James Cook sure got lucky with the weather when he spotted this peak back in 1778.
Yeah. That's such a cool
And
picture,
of course,
man.
this leaves us with just one territory left
Oh,
to
we're
visit.
at the
A
Yukon.
bit farther north in Yukon Territory is Mount Logan,
Yes,
also part of the
okay.
St. Elias Mountains. This
I know
mountain
this
reaches
mountain.
a staggering elevation of 5,959 meters above sea level, making it the tallest mountain in both Yukon Territory and all of Canada, of course, as well as the second tallest mountain of the entire North American continent. It's extremely wide at its base as well, having the largest base circumference of any non-volcanic mountain.
It's a
Mount
non-volcanic
Logan was
mountain.
named after the founder of the Geological Survey of Canada, Sir William Logan.
Okay.
It's truly an awe-inspiring peak
picture.
and offers a formidable challenge to high pointers around the world.
Oh, absolutely. Doing these videos, what do you learn? You learn so much cool information about Canada, and you just get to see how beautiful Canada is. I fall more and more in love with Canada every time I see videos like this. Absolutely beautiful. Guys, jump on in the comments. Of course, they said only a handful of people have taken on the really, really big summits, but some of the small ones, guys, have you been to any of these areas? If you have, in the comments, tell me stories. I love to hear them. Okay, that was the video for today, guys. If you liked it, please jump on, smash the like button, leave a comment, and of course, remember to subscribe. That really helps me out. Cheers from down under. Take care. Bye.